brothers and sisters, greetings from all points of the triangle. As you know, we normally receive our informations from our invisible correspondents, and in this segment, we want to share with you a few things from Darmon Richer in an article written on August 19th of 2014 on how Freemasonry arrived in the Caribbean. I find that this article was interesting, and I wanted you to check it out as well. Freemasonry arrived in the Caribbean in the 18th century. It came by water, carried on the ships that sailed from Spain, England, the Netherlands and France. Military men established the first lodges, although the practice was subsequently spread and maintained by colonial governments, merchants and traveling businessmen. Brothers and sisters, now you see why the elders would tell you to stand up straight, walk straight, and salute properly in the lodges. Because that's the way military men would conduct themselves. In the mid to late 18th century, the order would see alternating periods of rapid growth and stagnation. Lodges opened and closed in quick succession as the European powers battled both amongst their Caribbean colonies as well as back at home. The French Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars, and others would have an impact on the practice of Freemasonry in the Caribbean. We will be right back after these messages. Welcome back. Remember, in our last segment we spoke of Haiti, which obviously would be French and Spanish-speaking lodges. The earliest record of an English-speaking lodge in the Caribbean is the Antigua's Parham Lodge, number 154, which was consecrated in 1738. It was around the same time that other pioneer lodges began springing up in St. Kitts, which was called the St. Christopher's Lodge, number 174, and Jamaica the Great Lodge of St. John, number 192, and the Royal Lodge, number 193. Provincial Grand Lodges both appeared soon after in Barbados, around 1740, and in Bermuda around 1745. In 1788, Irish Freemasonry would follow after the French and Scottish Rites, to establish the Union Lodge number 690 in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as significant presence both in Jamaica and Bermuda. It is interesting to note that, in the Spanish colonies, Freemasonry took much longer to establish, due to the influence of the Roman Catholic Church. Due to the anti-Masonic position taken by the Vatican, ever since the papal ban in 1738. Trinidad and Tobago wouldn't embrace Freemasonry openly, until the island passed from Spanish to British rule in 1797. In Spanish, and later in Haiti, or controlled Dominican Republic, Freemasonry was not permitted to spread until after Dominican War of Independence of 1844. The Grand Lodge of the Dominican Republic was founded shortly after 1858. In Cuba, for example, Freemasonry would not begin to flourish until 1898, when the island's battle for independence would earn sympathy and escalate into a brief, yet bloody, Spanish-American War. On that note, we will be right back after these messages. In the French and Dutch colonies, a similarly religious climate would slow the early progress of Masonry. Lodges such as the Brothers United would eventually be warranted by the Grand Lodge of France and St. Lucia in 1795. As colonial grip loosened, religious doctrine would relax, and the societies would take more of a hold on things, and new lodges would rise in Guyana, in the Dutch colony of Demerara and Trinidad and Tobago, and in Martinique. The 19th century in the Caribbean was characterized as a rapid acceleration of Freemasonry. In Haiti too, Freemasonry arrived by way of the Grand Lodge of France. In 1697, the Spanish had ceded the western portion of Hispaniola to the French. And by the 18th century, the colony then known as Saint-Domingue enjoyed the booming trade of coffee, sugar and cocoa. With the increased movement of merchants, colonial officers, and slavers, the ideas of Freemasonry also became well established. When Haiti won its independence and utterly abolished slavery from 1791 through 1804, which was also known as the Great Haitian Revolution, Masonry was so ingrained into local culture that the all-black revolutionary government had inherited the Masonic system amongst their other spoils of war. We will be right back after these messages. I hope you have enjoyed these images of various Masonic areas of the Caribbean. François Dominique Toussaint Louverture, the former slave who led the revolutionary forces against the French, is himself reputed to have been a devout Freemason. His own signature seems to attest the fact, with his combination of 2 lines and 3 dots, that mimic a popular shorthand symbol of that time. In fact, some say that Freemasonry was so engraved in Haitian culture and leadership that any president who was not a Freemason prior to office was ordained on the occasion of their election. Meanwhile, the self-styled Emperor Jacques I, who was another of Haiti's founding fathers, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, was similarly invested in the Masonic order. The National Museum of History in the center of Port-au-Prince houses artifacts, such as the slave-turned-emperor's own sword and scabbard, clearly engraved with square and compass motifs. It was another Haitian, in fact, who established Freemasonry in Cuba. It appears that Masonic ideas began spreading in Cuba from 1763. It was first perceived as anti-religious by Spanish authorities. However, it had been largely outlawed. Later, during the island's brief occupation by Britain, the activities of English and Irish military lodges laid the foundations for the development of a Cuban charter. When the Haitian Revolution kicked off in 1791, thousands of French colonists fled the uprising, escaping the widespread massacre of white slavers to the landed ports, such as Trinidad and the south of Cuba. Joseph Cerneau was one such French-Haitian Freemason. He founded Cuba's first lodge in 1804, called the Cuban Theological Virtue Temple, in Havana. Cuban Freemasonry is noteworthy for being one of the most overt and colorful rites in the Caribbean, rather than the secrecy that so often surrounds Masonry in other parts of the world. Cuban lodges take pride of place in town centers. Brothers and sisters, did you hear what I said? Cuban lodges take pride of place in town centers. Brothers and sisters, a Haitian Freemason had founded or established the first Masonic lodge in Cuba. This is to show you young Haitian Masons that Haitians in the past were influential in everything in the world. Why are we last now? Why Haiti in the 21st century in last place in everything? This is something that you, and you, and you, must answer. Were Haitians in the past smarter than the Haitians of today? This is a question that you all must answer. Please don't bash the mailman. We will be right back after these messages. Brothers and sisters, were the Haitians of the past more intelligent than today's Haitians? That was the last question. As we continue. As stated before, Cuban lodges take pride of place in town centers, decorated in bright colors, and with all subtlety of an orchid in bloom. They permit female membership, and brethren favor relaxed attire over traditional suits and ties. Not only on account of the heat, also so that no member should feel embarrassed for not owning formal clothes. Moreover, interesting still is that Cuba is the only country in the world where Freemasonry has been protected by communist regime. Brothers and sisters, these are powerful information of, and on Haiti, on Masonry, that you must absorb during your leisure hour. Haiti and Haitians were well and respected. Please take a look. We're back. I hope you have resonated with the images of the new Haiti. Masonry is still designed to bring order out of chaos. Brothers, do you like the images of the new Haiti you've just seen? Order out of chaos. I get emotional when I see Haiti of today. Let's get back to the program. It is well known that Freemasonry was suppressed by the Soviet Union. Stalin was not a man who liked having secrets kept from him. Yet in a post-revolutionary Cuba, ruled over by the Cuban Communist Party, and closely allied with the USSR, Masonry was elevated to a highly respected position with society. Much of this stems from the Cuban War of Independence and the subsequent Spanish-American War. Freemasons were hugely influential in the formation of the United States. And as Cuba battled for freedom from the Spanish, they won the support of many lodges in the U.S. Besides Cuba's own revolutionary thinkers, social philosophers such as José Martí and Carlos Manuel de Cespedes were themselves outspoken Freemasons. We will be back after these messages. We're back, brothers and sisters. Don't forget, the world, the Caribbean, and the island of Cuba is changing, and we now have Fidel Castro on the rise, making a name of himself. Therefore Castro, in aligning himself with Cuba's proud revolutionary past, Fidel, and his 1965 Communist Party of Cuba, had no choice but to embrace those bold thinkers who came before him. The great Fidel Castro had to bend to none other but to Masonry, because to denounce Freemasonry would have been to deny Cuba its national heroes, which would result to a poor choice of any political movement, with the hopes of establishing a stable government. Remember, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. There is, however, a popular theory that closer ties the Castro brothers to Masonry. See, in 1956, 82 freedom fighters set sail from Mexico to Cuba aboard a yacht named Granma. Amongst them was Che Guevara along with both Fidel and Raul Castro. As these revolutionaries began their assault on the despotic government of President Fulgencio Batista, the story goes that a Masonic lodge offered them shelter, hiding them from Batista's troops, which would be considered a gesture of support for their revolutionary mission, which might certainly explain Fidel Castro's subsequent tolerance for Masonry, with some version of the story going further to suggest that Castro himself was raised to the level of Master Mason prior to his appointment of Master Mason. Brothers and sisters, this is a quote, and it states that Masonry is universal and multidimensional. It is like a circle of 360 degrees, and if we divide it into two sections, and if we call the upper section of the circle positive, and the lower section of the circle negative, then the circle would appear to have two polarities. Whichever part of the circle the aspirant chooses to travel would be in accordance with his or her understandings. The question still remains open, that is, has Masonry changed? Or has the aspirant's understanding of Masonry changed? These are the words of Venerable Gay, of the Sparkling Light Lodge number 42 of Boston, Massachusetts. My. Wow. I have to admit myself, that at times listening to Brother Gay, makes me want to be philosophical as well. That, I almost want to say, many are called, and a few are chosen, if that is philosophical. All kiddings aside, there are over 30,000 practicing Freemasons in the island of Cuba, with 316 provincial lodges, all answering to the Grand Lodge of Cuba, in Havana. The Grand Orient Lodge in Haiti claims 48 provincial lodges and over 6,000 practicing Freemasons. The Dominican Republic has over 1,200 Masons. Masonry continues to spread in the English-speaking nations of the Caribbean, such as 45 lodges in Jamaica, 23 lodges in Barbados, 21 in Guyana, 20 in Trinidad and Tobago, 14 in the Bahamas and Turks, and another 14 in Bermuda. These numbers will change from year to year. It is best to check Wikipedia for an exact daily count. Brothers and sisters, not only has Masonry contributed to the development of the Caribbean nations, their passages from Carey's colonies to autonomous states, Masonry continues to play an integral role in the Caribbean culture. The resultant rites are as unique, as are varied, and are as colorful as those nations are themselves. I hope this segment was informational to the Masonic geeks and others. This institution is designed to uplift the individual. Haiti have been portrayed negatively by the Occident, yet Haiti have been a catalyst of change. It is up to us to bring Haiti forward, let brotherly love prevail. If you have any topic you would like to discuss on this program, be sure to contact us at 508-521-0897. Viva Haiti! Fiat Lux!